Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia and you can find me online as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is Monday, February 1st, and this is episode 107. So hello everyone and welcome to my knitting podcast. I'm a day late because I had a bunch of stuff going on yesterday and it just wasn't going to happen. I tried to do it first thing in the morning and just didn't get up early enough, and then after that it was just one thing after another. So I'm recording Monday night after work, so the lighting's a little different because there's no sunlight. So actually the daylight light bulbs that I got for this room, specifically for podcasting, are actually doing quite well now that I've hit the record button. Before they were looking a little funky, but now they look kind of good, so yay for that. It actually worked. That's exciting. So let's jump right in. Below the concho, we still have the January and February knit-along going on. I noticed a lot of people posted things yesterday and the day before, so I think people were finishing things at the end of the month, maybe for some other knit-alongs, and we're posting them in the group. So you still have a whole nother month to knit blue and or white things and post pictures of them, or pictures of your progress and chatter and all that. It's all in the same thread in the Ravelry group, and I will pull for a winner at the end of February. So that's still going on this month. And feel free to double dip, triple dip, whatever. I don't care. The reason I don't do specific things that you have to knit this shawl or this pair of socks is because I want it to be very open and available to everyone. And blue and white seem to cover a lot of things. A lot of people like blue or white, a lot of yarns of blue and white in them. And so I wanted to kind of leave it as this open-ended thing that you can knit any project you want. You can enter as many times as you want, as long as your finished object is mostly blue or mostly white or mostly blue and white. You can have any combination. So that's that. That's the only announcement I think I have. I guess I can reiterate the fact that I'm going to the Knitting Pipeline Retreat at the end of February, which I'm very, very excited about. I was getting caught up on podcasts this weekend while doing other things, and I was listening to the Knitting Pipeline podcast, sorry, not Knitting Pipeline Retreat, Knitting Pipeline podcast, and she mentioned me, which was really exciting. It was a few weeks back, and I'm totally behind, but it was really exciting because I'm going to be doing a toe-up sock knitting workshop there. It's free, it's going to be really informal. I'm going to bring a whole bunch of socks and talk about what I've learned in my years of sock knitting. So it's going to be pretty informal. But if you're there and want to know about toe-up sock knitting, feel free. I'll also be there the whole time, so if you want to just ask me questions. I mean, a lot of it I've shared on the podcast anyway, so it's just an in-person kind of thing. I can show you the socks that I've knit over the years. I don't know if I'm going to bring all my socks, but I might end up bringing a lot of the socks, at least that I've knit for me. I don't have the socks I've knit for other people, except for my husband, but I don't want to take away his socks because that's kind of mean. I don't know if he'll let me use them for the weekend. He might. We'll see. Maybe I'll borrow one pair that I've darned. So speaking of that, I actually have a pair that I've darned to show you, but just to give an example of things like that. So that being said, let's move on to On the Island. I have some new things because I finished some things. Some new old things. Some things one thing that you've seen before is my Secret Garden shawl by Alana Dakos out of Western Sky Knits Magnolia sock in the Misselthwaite Manor colorway. And this is the bag from Little Skein, the little Secret Garden kit bag. And this is the shawl. Ta-da! It's getting quite large. The thingy, the marker, is about where it was when you saw it last. So I've gotten another repeat done, repeating a little bit. The chart is really half of this, so I guess it's one of the full leaf repeats, which is 2 chart repeats, I think. And it says you're supposed to knit the chart think it's 11 times, and I have knitted 11 times, and I still have a good chunk of yarn left. So I decided to do 12. So I've now done 12, and the yarn has gone down a bit, but not too bad. And then you do the edging. So I haven't done the edging yet, so I do need some yarn for that. So I can't use it all. But I think I was glad I did the extra repeat, and now I think I'm going to head into I think I have a couple more rows left, and then I can do, because you knit, I think 11 of the chart, and then like partway through the chart, and then do the edging chart. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm about to finish off the main chart and then go to the edging chart, which is very, very exciting. These rows are so long. And a couple, like one repeat back, I realized that I made a mistake. Not in one place, but like the whole row was wrong. But it was only half thing. Like I had mixed up what row I was on. And so I did the decreases on the leaf were fine, but the cable crosses over here that were supposed to be on the same row didn't happen on that row. And it's, where is it? It's like right here. These cable crosses, I think, happened a row too late. And so by the time I needed to like bring them all together to then start another leaf, I was a row off all the way across. But it was like, you know, the leaf was fine and part of the row was fine, and it was this really odd combination of things. And I realized this last night. I was like, I don't want to rip it back. I kind of wish I did now. It doesn't look that different. I figured out a way to fix it and just kind of fudged my way through, because the rest of it was fine. It was just the fact that I hadn't like cable crossed early enough, and so then they weren't coming together fast enough to then, so I had to do the decreases and the increases on the same row, whereas they're supposed to be a couple rows apart. But it worked out, and I think it looks pretty similar if you compare like the bottom of that leaf to the bottom of that leaf. You can't really tell the difference, especially from afar. Like I can tell the difference, but I think once it blocks out, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference. I did have to do some fudging. And you can tell that this goes up and then out rather than like nicely out. Sorry, I'm like, these things are supposed to go, you know, like nicely out versus like up and out, which is kind of what they do. It's really hard to show, but it's all right. It worked. I'm back on track now. Things are going the way they should be. So I'm very happy to be working on that again, and hopefully we'll get that done before I want to take it to the knitting, like wear it to the knitting pipeline retreat. So I hope to get it done before then. But those rows are really long, and we'll see. Now I have to actually look at the chart, because I took it with me yesterday to work on during other things. And I think that's where the mess up happened, because I wasn't really paying attention to the chart, because it's hard to pay attention to the chart and like participate in a discussion, which is what was happening. So I didn't do as well on either, but it's okay. It's fine now. It's going along. We're going to be fine. The other thing on my needles is a pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks by Erica Lueder, and they're out of Leading Men Fiber Arts Spotlight Base in the apple bottom colorway. And yeah, when I got to a point in that shawl that I was thinking, oh, it might be time for the edging, then I started on these. And I had already done the toes, so I have 2 toes. Sorry, it's caught on something. There we go. So I have 2 toes. And then yesterday, while I wasn't working on the shawl, I knit the rest of that. And these are going to be for my aunt, another one of my aunts. Other than the other socks I will show you. I have 3 aunts on my mom's side, because she has 3 sisters. And then 1 aunt on my dad's side. It's not his sister, it's his sister-in-law. But anyway, my mom's sisters are getting socks this year. And that's about to fall off my lap. So this is the apple bottom colorway, and I got it earlier this year. I should have used that beautiful blue speckled colorway, and this is going to be perfect for her. So those are coming along and being knit quite quickly. It's funny, the other day, or yesterday, I think it was in the car, my husband asked me if I thought I could knit a pair of socks in a day. And I thought about it, and I thought, this is kind of ridiculous. I don't know if I could do that. And then I'm thinking, it might not be that hard to knit a pair of socks in a day. I don't know. I'm like, if I knit a plain stockinette sock for me with not a long cuff, I could probably do a pair of socks in a day. But I like my cuffs long, and I don't necessarily like knitting stockinette socks. So it probably won't happen, but we'll see. I did post a video this week on Instagram of how I knit, and I thought I would show you guys a little bit more of how I knit later on in the Flora and Fauna. So that's coming up. And that's it for all my needles. On the horizon, I know I haven't had this section in a long time, but I decided to add it. I have a few things. They're not all on my list, but they are in my bucket, so we're going to go through them. The Bakery Bears podcast, if you don't watch them, you should. They're awesome. Are having a Muppets Knitalong in February. I think March. I'm not entirely sure. And I had these Sesame Street minis, which I know some people consider them Muppets and some people don't. They are still from Jim Henson, and sometimes they're grouped with the Muppets and sometimes they're not, but I'm considering they're Muppets for the sake of this KAL. And I had a bunch of minis, as they're all spilling out, of Sesame Street characters from Another Crafty Girl, who is awesome, and you should totally check her out. Another Crafty Girl on Etsy. And I don't know what the URL is, but anothercraftygirl.com. There you go. She sells her stuff on Etsy, but you can link to it through that. And she had 2 mini skein bundles of 2 groupings of the Sesame Street colorways, which I just wound up into balls. Actually hand wound them, which was kind of nice this weekend. And put them all in here. And I have some Cascade Heritage in white that I don't know what it's from, but I have it. And so I'm going to use that to knit the toe and the cuff and the heel and probably a couple stripes in between all these and do some stripy socks. So I don't remember what all of these are, but this one's Elmo. This is called Tickle Tickle. And that's Elmo. This is Oscar the Grouch. I don't remember what the actual name. She has all these cute names for them that aren't like obvious. Green Grump, that's it. This one is Bird. So this is Big Bird. That's really bright. It's yellow. It's bright yellow. And this is Bert and Ernie. And Bert's is called The Eyebrows Make the Man. And I don't know what Ernie's is, but that's that. And I think this is Grover. Looks like Grover. Anyway, I won't show them all to you. Maybe I'll show them to you as I'm knitting them. But those are going to be some very fun socks. I'm very excited. The next thing that I have coming up is a hat, the Cattywampus hat, which is by Elizabeth Green Musselman, that's her name, that I'm going to knit out of some delicious handspun that I was gifted from Joanna of Knitspin Farm. Ta-da! Who I'm very much looking forward to seeing at Knitting Pipeline Retreat. She was the one who was a little birdie on my shoulder who reminded me to go register. So thank you, Joanna. So this is some handspun that she sent. And I think my favorite part is these like pops of teal in it. And there's these pops of orange in it. Oh, it's so delicious. And it's kind of thick and thin in places, which is really fun and really barber pole-y. And it's definitely not super wash. It's really grabby. Trying to wind it was interesting, but it got wound and it's ready to go. This is going to be the Cattywampus hat. So I've got that in my Knitspin Farm bag, Knitspin Farm sheepy bag. Ta-da! Isn't this so cute? It's so cute! I don't even have the needles in there yet, but I have the pattern, and it requires a provisional cast on. which you know is not necessarily my favorite, so I have to sit down and probably watch the video again and figure that out. So it's not hard once I get going. It looks like a pretty simple hat, but anyway. And the other thing that I have actually kind of started, but I have to rip it back because I messed up on my own pattern, is a test knit of my shawl. Ta-da! So that's like the first little section. This is a Leading Man Fiber Arts gradient in their soliloquy base. I'm just going to show you the inside of this bag, because trying to take all these out was just not going to happen. It's a, oh, that actually works for it. It's a yellow gradient called Rubber Duckie, which is also appropriate for the Muppets Knitalong. So I think when I got that, I told you I had a song for it. I totally came up with a song for it. Rubber Duckie, you're the one. You make knitting time lots of fun. Rubber Duckie, I'm awfully fond of you. So there you go. That's my song for my shawl. Woo! As I knock the lamp. Maybe my Muppet will be Ernie. I haven't chosen a Muppet yet. I just know that I'm going to knit those socks. But I think with the shawl, there we go. I think my Muppet might have to be Ernie. He's so happy all the time. I love that. There you go. I just chose my Muppet. It's going to be Ernie. All right, next. Moving on. Set sail. I have all the way over here. And, oh, I can get it over here. Okay. Set sail, I have some socks. As you may have noticed, they're not on the needles anymore, so they are off the needles. I finished my Ludmilla socks out of GnomeAcres, House Gnome in the Baby Gnome colorway. I have it written down. I don't know. I just didn't look at it. I'm like trying to think. I'm like, what is it? And it's this gorgeous tonal purples. I absolutely love how it turned out, and it really shows off the pattern. So this is the Ludmilla pattern that I designed. And these are for my other aunt, who has gigantic feet. These are very large, but that's it. And the pattern is written with a picot hemmed top cuff thing, which I didn't do because I was worried. Mine, I have it on mine, and I love it, but it's not the stretchiest, and I wanted these to, like, I don't have a problem getting it over my heel, but I don't have big feet. So I wanted this to not have a problem getting over my aunt's heel. So, ta-da! That's that, and that's the back. And my typical bottom of the heel, bottom of the foot gusset, sorry, and V-pocket heel. And those are done, and will get mailed off hopefully this week. I designed a like a wrapper for my hand knit socks, which I've yet to print out. I'll show it to you once I get it print out. To wrap around it that says, you know, like Hand Knit by Lucia, has my Pearl of Pacific logo, and with care instructions on the back, and the fiber content, just in case people were curious. Because a lot of people want to know what's in the socks. They all think it's cotton. And I'm like, no, not really the greatest. It's generally wool and nylon, because it's the best for gifting people socks. So it's either merino wool or BFL wool. Occasionally I have MCN for certain people if they request it, or if I think they're worth it. That's really it. If I think they know how to take care of it, because I know one person who just I gave her some MCN socks, and she just washes them in the washer, and they're really pilly now, of course, because it's cashmere. So it's good to know, like, they are hand washed. So the other socks I finished were the Minion Skew socks. Dun, dun. They are done. They were super quick. I can't remember where they were when I showed them to you last. Probably before the heel. Anyway, they're done. They were super quick. I had an all-day meeting this week, and which is why a lot of knitting got done. So that's when I finished the cuff on the Ludmilla socks, and like the entire leg pretty much of these socks. And they are also super tall. I knit them super tall. And ta-da! I love this pattern. It's weird. I actually knit two of the same pattern in the same month. Can you believe that? It's kind of weird. I don't normally do that, but I just love how they look. They're super cool. And the friend who's getting these commented on my Skew socks and she loved them. And I knew this yarn was going to be for her anyway because she loves Minions. So I was like, all right, well, now I know the pattern I'm going to knit your socks in. And this heel is just, it's so cool. It's so cool how it's done. So you like do a bunch of increases and then you Kitchener this part right here in the middle of the blue stripe. And then you keep knitting. And it's genius. You're knitting this and you're like, this looks ridiculous. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, now it looks like a sock. Who knew? It's really genius. So I'm really impressed with these, like how they turned out. And the yarn is Biscotte and C. And this is their Biscotte sock in the Minion colorway. And it is really soft. Let me tell you, I was given this for review, so full disclosure. And it's really soft. It's kind of drapey. I wouldn't knit something like this friend I know will take care of her socks. She loves hand knit socks. She's very knit worthy. But it is very soft. And I wouldn't give this to a guy just because they tend to be harder on their socks. I'm not saying all guys are harder on their socks, but they tend to wear through their socks faster. And I know she's going to take very good care of these, but I mean, you can still feel the nylon. Like they are a good solid sock yarn. But they specialize in self-striping, which is interesting because I would use like this kind of base for more of like a shawl or a cowl because it's very soft and you would want it next to your skin. But I mean, obviously it's going next to skin, it's going on your feet. But I really like it and it is quite drapey. But it does still hold its shape, which is nice. But I wouldn't, I don't know, there's some sock yarn that's stiffer. It's not stiff. Like, sometimes I like the stiffer sock yarn, and sometimes I like the super soft sock yarn. So this is super soft sock yarn. So if you were wondering, that's that. And it is, did I throw the, I know I have the tag in here somewhere. There it is. So it is superwash merino and nylon, 85/15, and 100 grams, 435 yards, so it's a generous skein, which is nice. Anyway, that's the, sorry, I'm reading the tag, I should just show you. And that's theirs. They are out of Montreal, Canada. And they're very, very lovely people. I loved talking to them about Chicago and Montreal and yarn and food. And they are very, very lovely, and they make amazing socks. And I think that I know they have other bases because I do have another pair of theirs, and it is a little grittier. Grittier is not a word, but I mean it is a word, but it's not. I wouldn't use it to describe yarn. But it is a little more sturdy. But I really like this, and my friend is really going to appreciate them. She loves like merino and cashmere and all the fine things, so she is going to love those. Those are going in my present stash for later because she has a birthday coming up later this year. I mean, unless you've had your birthday's coming up later this year, but they're going to be in a present stash for her for later on. I tend to do that. I just see things for people and I just stash them for later. So that's going into the stash for later. Those are the two things that I finished. The other two things that I wanted to show you were some socks that I darned for my husband and my best friend. And they are both dudes and tend to wear through their socks. And these are, I think, the first pair I knit for my husband. This is the second time I've darned them. So that's the first darn. It's very, very messy. I did that a while ago. But he tends to wear through his socks in the bottom here. And these, I don't know if he had a new hole or if it was just, I think it was just wearing thin. So that's the inside. So that's the hole that I darned before. And I think this is the new part where it was just getting thin. So I just wove the wove some yarn like in and out to just reinforce it. I just reinforced that area kind of around it. I think I did it on the other one too. Probably. Yeah, this one wasn't as bad. But did I? Yeah, I did some in here too. So there's some more reinforcement, which you can't really see from the outside on this one at all. The more visible whole darns are the ones that are easier to see from the outside. And I did keep some of this yarn, so I just whatchamacallit, just use the same yarn. I tend to do that with my husband's socks, unless I use all of the yarn up, which sometimes happens. But I tend to keep the rest of it instead of giving it away as a mini for other people. Is that because I know I'm gonna have to darn his socks, which is fine. It's not a problem. I just have to actually do that. These have been sitting in my darning pile for way too long. Way too long. The other thing, so then I had tea with my best friend the other day. Yeah, sometime this week, and he brought me his socks. He was like, I ripped a hole in them. What have I done? I'm like, it's okay. Like, it happens. Just give them to me. And I mean, he had brought them with him, and I was like, just give them to me and I'll repair the hole. And it's funny because he wore the hole. My husband tends to wear them here, whereas he wore them in the back of the heel where your shoe kind of rubs, which is where mine get thin. I darned a pair of mine. I don't think I brought them because I wore them this week, but I didn't wear a hole, but mine were getting thin in the back here. So that's where I reinforced his in the back. I think this one actually had the hole. And you could tell it's just like a couple stitches had just worn too thin and had broken. And then the stitches around them, like on the rows, like above it and below it, were fine. It was just this like 1 or 2 rows of just really thin. So I reinforced the stitches around it and then just wove it shut. And this one's a little bit visible on the outside. But you can kind of see it, but it's not bad. And it's so dark. This is a very dark purple. But yeah, it's coming out a lot lighter on camera. And then this one I also just reinforced on the back of the heel because it was getting a little thin. So before, that's a better representation of color. It's a lot more purple than blue. That's pretty good. And then I washed and blocked them so that when I give them back to them, they will be nice and clean. But those are some darns. And really it took me like 5 minutes. I just needed to get out the darning egg and just do it. So that's it for set sail. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, I am wearing my Elowen shawl that I knit for the Harry Potter Loops Knit-Along in December as my December challenge. And this color, the lovely variegated colorway, is Loops in their sport base. And then the natural is just a natural that I had. And I wore a shawl to make me feel fancy even though I'm wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. Because it's the end of the day and I come home and I just change into a t-shirt and sweatpants. And ta-da! I'm like, I'll just throw on a shawl and make me feel fancy. So that was that. Listen, I get to show you. I mean, I showed this to you recently too, so maybe I should wear some of my older ones. I don't have that many now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway. Alright, next. From the mainland, I got a bunch of stuff. So let's get going. I think the first thing I got, speaking of Loops, was I won a prize. What? Never win prizes. Here, there's gonna be some crinkling. So for those of you who like this, awesome. For those of you who don't, there's gonna be some crinkling. Just forewarning, sorry. I was keeping it in here to keep it together and looking nice. Okay. So I won a prize for getting one of their pre-order kits back in September. No, it was before that. It was like August, July. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a while ago. And I got one of the pre-order kits to join the Knit-Along because their Harry Potter updates are just, they're nuts. Like, they're at midnight and everyone's on there like, refresh. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not that crazy. So I did one of the pre-order kits, and they drew for prizes from that, which I did not know they were going to do. I'm new this year, so it was awesome. I was like, okay, I'll take some kits. So this is the Nargles colorway, which they were showing on their podcast a couple weeks ago that Lydia was going to knit a shawl with, and I was like, oh my god, it's so pretty. So this is what I won, and it's speckled, which I'm so excited about. Speckled is, I think, like one of the new things that's coming out that I absolutely love. So it's got these dark greens and this like purples here, and there's even a little bit of pink and some more green over here. And it's like dark magic stuff over here. Oh, it's great. And then it's like this nice tonal gray. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to wind this and knit with it. There's like untold mysteries hiding in the wonders of this skein. There's like some yellow there. I don't even know what. It's fabulous. I've been just like drooling over it and trying to figure out what to knit with it, and I don't know yet. So I'll figure out what to do with it. I don't want to do socks. I want to do a shawl, and I think I want to combine it with something. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. Or you're going to find out later on. I will find out when I figure it out. And I also got, oh, things are falling off my lap, a Hogwarts alumni sticker. There we go. Trying to get it without glare. So that's pretty awesome. And some tea, which is called Breathe Deep, which I'm very excited about. Some loose leaf tea, so I may try that tomorrow at work. We have some awesome loose leaf tea cup. Like we're a tea drinking office is pretty much what it is. So there's lots of ways to do your loose leaf tea. We also got a newfangled drink machine that does like espressos, and if you have the right things, you can do like cappuccinos and Americanos. I don't know. It's fancy. I don't drink coffee, so I don't really pay attention to it. We don't have any like tea for it other than like a bag of tea. So there are now 3 ways to get hot water in my office. It's pretty great because if someone else is getting hot water, you can get hot water. That's all that really matters for us tea drinkers. So there's a lot of ways to get tea. We have some fancy tea maker thingy. Anyway, unless I show it to you, it's hard to explain it. So, and I don't have it with me. It's at work, so whatever. Next, moving on. I got sidetracked by tea. Delicious tea. Okay, the next thing I got was a yarn order from GnomeAcres, which is lovely as usual. And I think one of my favorite things that she does is in all of her orders that she puts out in, she folds up the invoice so adorably, and then puts a "Did you gnome" sticker on that. And this is my favorite one that I've gotten so far. It says, "Did you gnome? Gnomes rule and trolls drool." I just thought that was hilarious. So, did you know that gnomes rule and trolls do? Well, I do now, Amanda, so thanks. I just thought that was so funny. So I had ordered in her last update some Scarlet Witch, dun, dun, which is awesome tonal reds. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm not a red person, but this is pretty great. This isn't for me. These are for socks for someone else who loves red also. And then I also ordered some Thor, which is these awesome, also red with some dark blue and black, which is going to be another pair of socks for someone else. Actually, the husband of this person. So these are going to be husband-wife socks, which I just think are going to be totally awesome. So Amanda, like, I don't know what it's magic what she does. It's genius. It's amazing. I love all the tonal reds, and this is going to knit up beautifully, like the purples in the baby gnome colorway. It's just, it's amazing. Thank you, Amanda. You're awesome. She's also super into Lego, so that's also awesome. So that's what I got yarn-wise this week. I also, which I didn't think was going to be here, well, it got here today, was I ordered the sock ruler. I figured it was about time. I mean, really. The amount of socks I knit is a little ridiculous that I didn't have this yet. So I got myself one. Ta-da! Oh, that's the blank side. I'm like, ta-da! Why can't you see anything? It's because I'm showing you the blank side. I'm a little off. All right. So this is it. This is the sock ruler, and it's much thicker than I imagined. I don't know why I thought it was going to be thinner than this, but I did, and so it's quite thick. You can see that. There you go. So it's pretty thick plastic, very durable, but still flexible, which is nice. I really enjoy that. And there are centimeters on this side and inches on this side. And you can do toe up or cuff down, so you can stick this in your cuff, and like this is the top of your cuff or leg. You can measure that way, or you can stick it in the toe of your sock, which is what I will be doing, and see how long they are. The only thing is, like, it only goes to 25 centimeters, which is 10 inches. Which is fine because it will tell me where to start the gusset and the heel. And once I've kind of started the gusset, I'm kind of well on my way to the heel. It's kind of like a predetermined thing. But like for my aunt sock, she wears a size 11, which is 10.5 inches. So that goes to, what is that, 10? So 10.5 is here. But I mean, I need to start my gusset, you know, somewhere over here. Yeah, because then 9.5, 8.5. So 7.5, I would start the gusset, and then 8.5, I would start the heel. So it's enough to measure where to put the gusset and the heel, but I can't measure the full sock, which is kind of fine because this doesn't really gonna fit in the heel of the sock anyway, so it's fine. So this will cover a large range of adult sock sizes. I mean, all of the adult sock sizes. There's also a children and like youth size thing. I don't knit a whole lot of socks for those age groups, so I didn't buy those, but I'm very excited to try this out. I just bought it. I didn't get it for review, but I will share with you how I like it so far. I stuck it in my aunt's socks and realized I still have quite a ways to go because she has big feet, which is fine. I volunteered to knit her socks. She doesn't know she's getting socks. I just asked her for her shoe size. So she may have a guess that she's getting socks, but she doesn't specifically know. I just randomly texted a bunch of people one day. I'm like, what shoe size do you wear? I know it's random, but you'll understand in the near future. So I think she probably guesses that she's getting socks, but we'll see. She has big feet, so there's going to be a ways to go. A ways to go. A while to go and a ways to go somehow turned into a whiles to go. Anyway, that's it from the mainland. The next thing I had was Flora and Fauna, which I wanted to show you how I knit. So I'm going to get out my aunt socks, which I put somewhere over here, and I was going to show you how I knit. So let's see. We're just going to put that. Oh, that's what. Of course, I take it out and it's like all impossibly tangled up. See, I didn't put my needle cozy on it, and now I've got a mess. See, I should learn. Put the needle cozy on it. Okay, now we have less of a mess. If I put this, here we go. Okay, now I think we've sorted it out. So I am a English knitter, so I am a thrower, in other words. And now I've got all impossibly twisted cable. Anyway, hopefully that won't be too annoying for now. There we go. So I'm going to show you this way, and then I might turn around and show you. There. We got the cable all sorted. That's nice. That took way too long. I'm sorry. So this is my yarn. Actually shows quite well. So I took it in my pinky there, and then I wrap my index finger around. So that's how I tension it. So it goes between my two middle fingers here, and I kind of hold it. I don't know if you can see that, but I kind of hold it there in that, and then so when I pull on here, it's not like it's pretty firm in there. So to get more yarn, I just kind of loosen those fingers up and then let more yarn in. but that's kind of how I hold it. You can kind of see when I've been knitting for a while, I have a groove on my finger right there. You can kind of see I've been knitting a lot. And there's another one like right by my knuckle or my nail there. It's kind of funny. You can tell when I've been knitting a lot because it just kind of falls into that groove on my finger. But that's how I hold it. Ta-da. What am I on? Oh, I'm on a pattern row. That was bad planning. Oh well. And here, let me see if I can kind of turn around to kind of show you how I knit. Oh, sorry, I kicked the camera. I'm gonna try this. But I stick my needle in. Yeah, okay. Stick my needle in and then wrap it and then pull it out. Stick it in and wrap it. So the only thing that really moves is my index finger, and then, you know, these fingers to kind of get the needles where they need to go. But I really worked hard on kind of minimizing the amount of movement that I do to make it the most efficient, because I used to you know, like lift my fingers all over the place and it like let go of my needle to wrap my yarn. And I just found that a very inefficient way of knitting, and my hands would get tired really quickly just because they were doing so much work. So I worked on kind of minimizing the movement, and it took a lot of concentration. I will tell you, it took a lot of practice of like, okay, don't lift your finger when you do this, you know, and I would sit there and like lift my finger when I'm doing this, you know, and I'm like, no, keep your finger there. It doesn't need to move. Like the only thing that will pick up sometimes is my thumb here, but, you know, to, you know, lift up so that I can kind of pull the stitches down. But other than that, it doesn't, I've gotten better about, you know, like picking it up and like wildly moving it around. It was just ridiculous. It just looks so funny. At least to me. I mean, I don't really care how you knit. It was just like, why am I waving my thumb around wildly to knit? So that is generally how I knit. I know it's kind of hard to see from the back, but unless I had a camera over my shoulder. But if you check out my Instagram account, I had my husband help me. He really like sat like kind of behind me and held the camera over my shoulder and kind of up close. So when I want to pick it up, I just kind of like pick it up and wrap it really quickly. And that's general motion. I'm not giving you a tutorial. This isn't a tutorial about how I knit, but I know it's kind of been going around Instagram, the hashtag of how I knit. So I thought it would be interesting to show you me knitting, because I don't generally knit on the podcast because it's a little hard to knit and talk. Not terribly hard. I mean, I do it sometimes during meetings. Generally when I'm talking during the meeting a lot, I will put the knitting down and talk. And then often because I need to use my hands to do things or show people things or whatever. But it's hard to talk on the podcast and knit at the same time. Here you go. This is me knitting. So I just did a round. And so yeah, so that's how I knit on socks. And I can knit continental. I have tried, and I tried tensioning the yarn the same way, and I had a hard time because of how I hold the needle. It wasn't as firm. I don't close this as much, and so I had a hard time tensioning. Either it was way too tight or way too loose. And but when I do two colors, I will have one in one hand and one in the other, and I don't have a problem with it in this hand. I just find that I'm faster with it in my right hand and throwing. But I have knit continental, and I wouldn't like, eventually I would like to work more on it, but my tension is just not as even, and so it makes my gauge uneven. And I'm like, I need to do it on a practice project and really just sit down and say, all right, I'm going to knit a hat and just knit the whole thing continental and really work on it. And I just haven't really done that. And so it just hasn't happened yet. One day, maybe I'll be very comfortable with knitting both, but right now I'm mostly comfortable knitting the English style. So, I don't know why I'm just showing you the socks. I already showed you the socks. So I think that's it for this week. I've got to go get some stuff ready for tomorrow, so I'm going to let you all go. I'm glad I had a chance to talk with you because I was thinking about waiting a week. And I thought, you know what, if I wait a week, I'm just going to have so much to talk about. It's going to be so long. So I'm glad I just did it. Sat down and hit record, and so it showed you all the things I've been working on this week. And I look forward to showing you more next week. All right, thanks for hanging out with me for the last 45 minutes. I really do appreciate it. So have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye!